Alright guys, this is about the fourth or maybe fifth or sixth time I've tried to record this. I ain't gonna lie, my jaw's starting to hurt. Um this story of that I'm about to read, I wrote myself. I wrote the script for it. But the original story is from Kohi Horikoshi. Uh the story I'm doing a what if on is My Hero Academia. But this would be an abandoned Deku AU. This would be a redo of the first part I have on my channel. So if you do happen to enjoy the video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. So I'm not gonna waste too much time on these first couple of parts because I've done them so many times. But everything for the doctor visit goes somewhat according to canon. They go to the doctors. Izuku doesn't get a quirk, and well, here's where things get different. Inko would have an annoyed, disgusted look on her face. Only for a split second, not even long enough for the doctor or Izuku to realize. Izuku wouldn't realize because he was sad and because he couldn't be a hero like All Might, according to the doctor. So as they leave, Izuku asks Inko if he could be a hero still. And she would pull over to the side of the road in front of a forest and say, "No, you can't be a hero. You're a quirkless nobody." As she would then push Izuku out of the car. Izuku, before he could recover and try to ask what she was doing, but she had already taken off, and all that Izuku could see was the tail lights. Now, the only thing Izuku could do was go and wander the forest, trying to find a place to survive at, like a cave or a tree with a hole in the base. And well, as he would wander the forest deeper and deeper, he would stumble across a cave. As he would enter, he would find the cave had different items littered around it. As he would proceed further into the cave, he would see a large lizard, draconic looking creature. The creature would ask what a human child was doing in this cave. Izuku, with wonder and fear, would say, "My mother left me at the edge of the forest, and I wandered through the forest to here." The creature would ask, "Why would she leave you here?" Izuku would explain that he'd never got a quirk, so his mom left him here, and the creature asked what a quirk was, and Izuku proceeded to say it was a super power or superhuman ability that gave human powers. The creature nodded his head in understanding and said, "What were you hoping to become if you had one?" And Izuku would say, "I wanted to be a hero and save people with all my heart and soul." That's when 8 glowing orbs would shine bright. The dragon would be surprised, and Izuku would ask what these orbs were. And well, he would also ask the creature his name. The creature would respond with, "My name is Crusher, young one, and those 7 orbs are the different elements of different dragons. My name is Crusher, the elemental dragon, and those elements in those orbs are lightning, fire, ice, wind, steel, shadow, and light." And Crusher would then proceed to ask the boy his name. And Izuku would answer Crusher and say, "My name is Izuku." Crusher would then say, "Those orbs have chosen you to grant their power to you." Izuku, with an awe expression, would say, "But why would they choose me?" The dragon would then say, "Each orb contains a small fraction of a dragon's soul, and your words resonated with those fragments of the souls." He would then push one of the orbs forward, and he said, "If you put your hand to that orb, you will be able to fuse with it." Izuku did, and the orb turned into a bright light and went inside of his chest. As Izuku would feel a slight pain in his chest, and he asked Crusher when they could start training this power. And Crusher said, "We would start in the morning and we'll take 1 year to master each element." So, with that, we are going to have our first time skip. So, in these 18 years, because like I said, UA is college, Crusher would teach Izuku how to control the lightning element, the fire element, the steel element, the wind element, the light element, and finally the shadow element, because shadow would be the hardest one to master. And he would train Izuku extensively, and after those 18 years, Izuku looks like the pitcher almost, minus the lightning and the ground debris around him that's levitated up, but he does look like the pitcher. So, during these 18 years, other than being trained heavily by Crusher, Mitsuki has been looking for him because Mitsuki would ask Inko where Izuku was when she would come over. Well, Inko finally told her when she had most of her stuff packed and ready to move that she had abandoned Izuku at a forest. This is about maybe 2 months after he was abandoned, that she would tell Mitsuki that she had abandoned him outside of a forest, and that unfortunately by this time he was probably gone. Well, Mitsuki then soon proceeded to leave, and after Mitsuki left, Inko grabbed her suitcase, went to the airport, and left. And while Inko was leaving the country, Mitsuki had went to the forest that Inko had left him at, called some heroes and said, "This boy has been missing for this long, and I need some help because the one who did it, I kept asking." She said he was fine, just sleeping when I would come over to visit, but she actually abandoned him outside in a forest. This is where can I get some heroes to come and help me? Aizawa would be one of the heroes to respond, along with All Might and Ryuku and All Might. They would help try and look for him, but sadly, he wouldn't be able to be found because he would be too far deep into the woods. And well, the Wild Wild Pussycats would also try to help, but like I said, he was just right outside of the search perimeter. The forest is about, let's say, 2,000 square miles. They searched over, I would say, 700 square miles, because in the time he could have been gone, he could have covered around that much, trying to find somewhere to stay hidden. They found a few caves, but none of those caves were where he was. Well, now that it's been 18 years, we go to the day where he would be left alone. And, well, sadly, Crusher has been alive for over 2,000 years. And he had been in the cave for 10 of those years with Izuku. So, Crusher is going to. He's old. He told Izuku his time was almost up, and that old age was catching up to him. Izuku understood this and was with him. In these 18 years, him and Crusher had grown to have a father-son bond. So when it was time for Crusher to pass on, he said goodbye to his father, and Crusher said goodbye to his son. After Izuku had mourned for about 30 minutes, he proceeded to leave the cave and then collapsed the entrance, sealing the cave so no one could disturb Crusher's eternal rest. Somebody would report hearing a cave collapse. And for 2 hours, Izuku would wander and then finally come to sit at the side of a river on a rock. And people would report seeing a boy wandering the forest. So, with that, Aizawa, Mitsuki, the Wild Wild Pussycats, and a few other heroes such as Ryuko and All Might would return and proceed to search for Zed Boy. Aizawa, Mitsuki, All Might, Ryuko, and the Wild Pussycats later regrouped and found him. After searching different locations and areas, they soon met up by the river and saw Izuku. Aizawa asked, "Who are you, boy?" He would reply, "My name is Izuku." Mitsuki would have tears in her eyes, and Aizawa would say, "We've been looking for you for about 14 years, kid." Izuku would ask why. Aizawa points to Mitsuki and says, "Your Aunt Mitsuki called us after your mom admitted to abandoning you here near the forest. And she then called for pro heroes to help try and find you. We tried to arrest your mom, but she had already skipped the country and left by plane. She ran before we even knew who she was." And Izuku would just sit there and just look at the river. Aizawa would ask if he heard a cave collapse, and he would say, "Yeah, that is my father's tomb. His name was Crusher." And Aizawa would say, "Who was your father?" Izuku would proceed to tell them how the day he was banned, he stumbled across Crusher's cave, and Crusher had raised him for the past 14 years and trained him. And Aizawa would say, "But dragons are just myths." Izuku activates his lightning abilities and pulls a scale out from his pocket. Now looks at Aizawa and says, "Is this enough proof for you?" Aizawa nods his head yes, and then asked Izuku what he wanted to do. And Izuku replied, "To save people." And Aizawa said, "Well, you show promise. I'll recommend you to UA, where I work as a teacher. Plus, you survived this place for 14 years. Also, you gotta show up to the recommended test in 3 days. That's also when we're gonna have the regular entrance exam too. So we're gonna go over what happens in these 3 days. So Mitsuki would have gotten Izuku new clothes, a phone, shoes, other essentials, and Izuku was grateful for the items and said thank you. She had put her number in the phone as well as Katsuki's and Azawa's phone numbers, and he said thanks again, and him and Katsuki have become best friends again. So now we go to the day of the exam where Izuku is in the observation room watching students with Aizawa. He is helping Aizawa find the best students with potential to put in 1A. They're the same as Canning except for one person, Mineta. He is replaced by Kendo, so yeah. And we go to Nezu releasing the 0 pointer. So when the 0 pointer loses control, Izuku asks Aizawa in which section is that specific camera. Aizawa would say it is 3 degrees to the north at a 45-degree angle. And in the 18 years of Izuku being in the forest, Crusher taught him everything he knew, including math, science, language, everything a child would need to know to be sufficient in the world. So Izuku's smart. And as soon as he gets that information from Aizawa, he fires a white laser from his mouth. Izuku fires a white laser from his mouth, nailing the 0 pointer in the head, exploding the head. As soon as the head of the 0 pointer exploded, All Might arrived and got the rubble off of Uaraka. Needless to say, the teachers were impressed with Izuku's skill in aiming and ability to precisely hit his target. So he he passes the recommended exam, which was I think like the physical portion. Um, Now we are going to go to the day he gets his acceptance letter. Uh, Basically, he gets accepted because he was recommended, and he did do very well on the physical portion of the recommended exam, since that's all it was just the physical portion. Um, so the first day of UA goes similar to canon, but where he has already met Aizawa, he is able to sniff out Aizawa, so he just follows Aizawa's scent to class 1A. He enters and goes to his seat. And like any other time, just like the beginning of the series, Aizawa comes out from under his desk with a box, puts it on the table, and says, "Go and change. We're having a quirk assessment test." Uraraka goes to say, "But what about orientation?" But Izuku's already grabbing his gear and says, "This is a hero school, and plus, this is Aizawa's class. His class, his rules." Izuku gets changed first and heads out, but he also melts the concrete around the hole of where in the wall that Mineta was going to look through. And before you say, "Oh, he's a pervert in this," no, he has a very strong sense of smell. So when the girls were on the other side of the wall, he could smell them through the hole. So he closed it by melting the cement. So he's waiting down at the field and whatnots, and Aizawa throws the ball to him and tells him to throw it. He throws it and gets over 1,000 meters or 15,000 meters. I am not sure how. I don't know if it's feet or meters. I don't remember how it was measured in the canon anime. But ignore that second photo. That's for the what if Deku had toothless abilities. I'm changing his dragon form to this, so that will be the new dragon form of what if Deku had toothless abilities. Back to the main story. Enough of me getting sidetracked. So he would get a high score, and then they would move on to the long jump, the speed portion. Izuku would finish, I would say third second, because Ida would be the fastest. Izuku would be the second fastest. He would be able to jump farther, but he would come second behind Uraraka, who could make herself weightless. In the grip strength, he would come first. In the strength section, he would come first. So he was basically top 5 of the class. I would say around second place. While Uraraka just. While, let's say, Bakugo got first, you know. But with that being said, we'll now go to the introductions. And and I think I will leave it off after the introductions because I want your guys' opinion on something. But I will get to that part here soon. So let's go. So the introductions go as canon until it gets to Kendo. She would say, "Hi, my name is Itsuki Kendo, and my quirk is Big Fist." She would then sit down, and Ida would ask if they had all said their name, and Bakugo pointed to Izuku and said, "My friend Izuku has not gone yet." Izuku would stand up, say, "My name is Izuku, and my quirk is Elemental Dragon." With that being said, guys, this is the end of the What If story so far. I will also upload this as often as I can. And my phone is also at like 20%, and I need to charge it. So, that's going to be it for the first part. Now, as for what I was going to get your guys' opinion on, who would you guys like to see this Izuku end up with? Should he end up with Ryuku, Miriko, Kendo, Momo, or should he end up with Melissa when they go to Aya Island, or should he end up with Nejire? So, I kind of don't want to do Nejire because that's kind of the way Blue Crown went with his abandoned Deku story. So I might not put Nejire as an option, but I'm gonna leave a poll on my channel for this, and I will also most likely have this ready for editing here soon. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the what if video. And if you did, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe. And I will try to have more. I'll try to have What if Deku had Toothless's abilities out soon. It's just I'm kind of finding it hard to kind of like script that out because I'm doing it a different scripting style than what I did with this one. But I hope you guys did enjoy. I'm gonna stop rambling now, so I will leave you guys with it.